So what I thought I'd talk about today is carbohydrates, because we talk a lot about protein, we talk a lot about intermittent fasting and things like that, but I know that lots of you still love your carbs. We're still quite a carby nation and we still need our carbohydrates sometimes, and I think that it's one of those food groups that's quite, you still need some carbs in your diet, because carbs is a funny one, because you've got the umbrella of carbohydrates, and under that you've got everything from sort of broccoli and apples and blueberries to rice and cereal and cake and biscuits and sugar. They're all carbohydrates. So carbohydrates is a bit of a complicated one. We often try and sort of avoid the processed carbs and watch our carb intake, and I'm talking about starchy carbs, especially for weight loss and things like that. So when I'm talking about carbs here, I'm not actually talking about, vegetables, fresh fruit. You want to eat as many of those as you can. They're full of amazing nutrients, and they're really sort of calorie light, nutrient dense, so don't worry about fruit and veg. But from a starchy carb point of view, a lot of us still feel like a meal needs a starchy carb to be a satisfying, filling meal. So I'm just going to focus on 4 carbohydrates, starchy carbohydrates, that I would recommend that you go for if you're looking to have a carb on your plate. So they're really good. If you're going for something that's a natural product, it's a whole food, it's not processed, then they're still going to bring a lot of nutrients to the table. And although it is slightly higher in calories, they're good quality calories. So unless you're going for like proper weight loss, having a couple of these whole grain, whole food, natural starchy carbs on your plate, a good, in the right proportion is absolutely fine. And when I say the right proportion, something, if it's a grain, I would go for like one small cup, or maybe 2 or 3 big tablespoons should be plenty. If you're looking at something like a sweet potato, then just something that fits in the palm of your hand, like a small to medium sized sweet potato, that would be a portion. So looking at 4 of the healthy carbohydrates that I would recommend if you want some starchy carbs on your plate. The first one that I love is quinoa. I think that's just such a super easy one to have. It's actually a seed, it's not a grain, which is really interesting, because it means that our body processes it in a slightly different way because it's not a grain, and also it doesn't contain any gluten. So anybody that's got sort of gluten intolerances or looking to reduce gluten in their diet, quinoa is a really good one to have. It's also unusually a complete protein. So what that means is that it gives you all the essential amino acids. There's 18 amino acids that we can't make naturally in our body that we need to get from protein, and quinoa is one of the few plant-based proteins that is a complete protein, and it gives you all those amino acids in one hit. So it is a really good one to be including, and it's also really high in fibre. So quinoa is a good one, and it is actually really easy to cook. I know we get a little bit intimidated with things like quinoa, but literally the way I cook it is I put it in a saucepan with a lid. I put a little bit of olive oil at the bottom, mix it around just to stop it sticking, some hot water to cover it really well, and a little bit of stock or a little bit of sort of herbs and spices, whatever flavouring you want. Put the lid on it and shove it in the oven for about 20 minutes, and just check it every sort of 8 minutes and just give it a stir. If it needs a bit more water, add a bit more water. But literally that's the easiest way to cook it. And you can batch cook it. You can make a big load of it, put it in your fridge, and it will keep for the week. You can add it to salads, warm it up for your dinner. So quinoa is a really good carbohydrate to have if you're looking to add a carb to your plate. The other option would be buckwheat. So buckwheat is a little bit similar to quinoa in the way that the texture in the mouth. It's also not, even though it's called buckwheat, it's not actually a wheat, it's not a grain. And so therefore it doesn't contain any gluten either. You can cook it in a similar way to quinoa. So it's just another option. Again, it's quite high in protein, but it's not a complete protein. And it's also high in fibre. So buckwheat's a good one. If you don't want to have something with that kind of grainy texture, then I recommend sweet potatoes. I love sweet potatoes. Keep the skin on, because then you're getting extra fibre. The beautiful orange colour means that it's full of antioxidants. It's giving you lots of vitamin C, vitamin A, potassium. So sweet potatoes are really good. So again, just a small sweet potato that fits in the palm of your hand. One of those with your dinner or your lunch is absolutely fine if you need a carbohydrate with your dinner. So that's another starchy carb that I would recommend. If you're looking for something that you can have for breakfast, then as you know, we love our oats. So oats are a great starchy carb to be having if you need a carb for breakfast. Again, it's gluten-free, full of nutrients. It's reasonably high in protein for a grain, and it's a whole grain. So it's also going to be really good for you. And oats also have a substance in it called beta-glucans, which are really good for your immune system and immune support. So oats has got a lot of nutritious benefits as well. So you can have oats with your breakfast. You can have it at mid-afternoon for your mini meal and put some Greek yogurt in it and mix it up with some protein powder and some blueberries. We all love that one. So porridge or overnight oats or oats mixed with yogurt and fruit for breakfast is a really good option. You can do a baked oats dish and have that for breakfast or for mid-afternoon. So there's lots of options with oats as well. It's just being careful and not adding too much sort of added sugar to it, and then it's not so bad. So those are the 4 starchy carbs that I would say focus on. So we've got quinoa, sweet potato, oats and buckwheat. So they're the 4 that I would say if you're looking for a healthy starchy carb to bulk up your plate and make your dinner more filling, those are the ones that I would go for.